Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Life Burst podcast, where we talk about the more competitive side of Wixoss. I'm joined here with my co-host, Tiffany.
Hello.
That's Tiffany. And then we also have another special guest today. And that guest is Sean. Sean, say hi.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We're so excited to talk about everything pertaining to your playstyle and the ceremony.
Yeah, the ceremony, which I heard you got a pretty good placement there, buddy.
Yeah, how'd you do?
So, in the ceremony, I got 4th place overall.
Ooh, cheers on that one.
Yeah, good job.
Were you okay? Serious talk. Were you expecting to get a high placement, or were you just?
No, I was just hoping to just get top 64, and that was it.
How's that playmat feel?
It's pretty good so far. Pretty good.
Yeah.
It finally came in yesterday, and it's just like, I can finally use it at the shop.
That's good. Mine hasn't come in yet. But it's not the end of day Saturday. I think it was supposed to be delivered at end of day today.
Oh, nice. I hope it comes in today for you.
Me too.
Yeah,
me
can't
too.
wait.
Yeah, and you got 2 playmats, right? Not just the one.
Top 16 and top 64. So the Uri no, the Toko mat and the Toma mat.
Yeah. No, that one's I think the one that everyone really wanted, but also, I mean, I think Uchu's pretty cool. That's just me personally as a person, but I'm glad.
Showing a little favoritism.
Yeah.
Which one are you gonna show off at your locals? Which one are you gonna slap down?
The top 64 mat.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
See, so everyone likes the top 64. Yeah. That makes total sense. Hey, so you got there, and you got there with Hirana, right?
Yes.
And now, is Hirana one of your favorite L rigs, or do you got some other L rigs that you like repping?
So far, how I got into Hirana's not really my favorite L rig.
Mm-hmm.
More of I watched the show, and then once I got into the game, saw the data live and everything else with it. But more is just more went to Hirana / No Limit. Because when I was researching the game, I needed a deck that could be good for long periods of time. Because at the moment with COVID and everything, I want to be able to just play one deck without worrying about spreading to different decks.
Gotcha. So was watching the anime how you were originally introduced into Wixoss, or did you watch some of the original shows as well?
So I watched Selector Infective and the other one first. Sometime
Lost Storage, yeah.
Lost Storage. I saw that the game was out in Japan. It's never going to come in the US.
Yeah,
and then I just gave up hope.
Figured that too. Yeah.
But sometime in early first or second week of March, I get a Facebook ad of English Wixoss. It's oh, it's finally here. Oh, time to build a deck.
Yeah, we were super excited when we saw that as well. So have you been playing for a while? You didn't play the Japanese sets at all, did you?
No, not at all.
Gotcha. Cool.
So I started around March 7th. And just been going to my card shop and online tournaments on a weekly basis.
Nice.
What online tournaments is it? Were you talking the loot store shop?
The loot card shop, the Wixoss store.
Yeah, those are the 2 I hear often about for people who don't have a dedicated play group in their local area. They end up doing it online, and those are the 2 that I hear often.
And the one weekly card shop I go to towards me, my locals, is Final Turn. And so far, they did it every Saturday at 5 p.m.
Well, thank you, Final Turns, for bringing up some heavy hitters into the Wixoss scene.
So, Sean, what else should we know about you? Is there any fun tidbits you want to share with us, with the audience?
Yeah, what's your card game history too?
So in my early kid years, I went to the Pokemon TCG and the VGC tournaments when I was a kid.
Oh, how'd you do with those?
I know I had scholarship money from that. I don't remember the placement, but at least they paid for community college. Now I
Nice.
just have to find a way to pay for regular college.
Yeah, for sure.
we get the struggle too. Yeah, I didn't ever do it through games, but I always, it was like a lot of the stuff that I got from games. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering. Helped me like kind of gamify my entrance into college, and then managed to get some kind of like, some kind of money from there. So yeah, it's strange how an early, bring up like playing card games as a kid. It's strange how like an early card gaming as a kid can help you as an adult. You're like, oh yeah, no, the taxes are easy. I mean, have you ever played Magic the Gathering? Those rules interactions are difficult. Taxes easy.
That's it.
So you did some early Pokemon stuff. Did you do any other card games?
Yeah. So I did Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid. My mom, every time I went for like reading lessons at a local library, she would bring like buy trial decks at the local shop in that town, and just like here's like the Yu-Gi-Oh structure deck, the Kaiba structure deck, and the Joey structure deck. It's like, oh, nice.
So what else did you do anything special to prep for the ceremony? Like how did you come about to structure your deck list?
So when I was first getting into the game, I messaged you guys about like what kind of deck list, and I saw like the red aggro deck list. Like, all right, buy the cards around that. Couldn't get more Mars, so I just like got one Mars, the two Nobanagas, and just like going through the phases of the card shop. Like first like time I went to the card shop for it, and the second time I did not win at all. I was like 60 losses straight, could not win one game. And I knew something had to change with the deck. So myself and the owner of that card shop deconstructed the deck, and with whatever cards I had at the time, we decided on more of a red aggro deck playstyle for the deck.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and inevitably, even with those early aggro decks, I look back at what I was building with Tiffany, and I was like thinking, man, there was some choices that I made there that are fine choices, but like I could have pushed more of a refined list. And one of the ways that I pushed was, cutting out one Mars. Like you did it because you just didn't have the. And it's funny because Bill said something similar, where he was like, I didn't have this card, so I had to be creative. So you did sort of the same thing, but inevitably, I cut down to one Mars as well. It was like, nah, 2 Mars is too much.
Yeah.
Because you only ever wanted, in my opinion, you only ever wanted Mars to go to the top so you can search it for niche situations where you actually need to have the assassin kick in.
Oh, yeah.
So you sent us a picture of your deck. It looks like you also splashed for the 2 blue, I think those are level 1 Signies, as well as the Focalors. What made you decide to splash for those guys?
So the Focalor, it's really like one of the best blue life bursts right now, able to just down 2 of your opponent's Signy from attacking. And it's good for like late game pressure, because if they hit it, you can just get them on your second level 3 turn. Yeah. And for Hasi, it's more, I use that more for the mirror match, as well as most every deck that plays red at the moment will play Lancelot and Romiel. So having that card into the deck as a 7k beater, they won't be able to retire it with Romiel or Lancelot. They have to wait. They have to wait till they either have a Deafening Inferno, or they have some way of bouncing it back to hand, or just getting rid of it entirely.
Right, outside of battle. Gotcha.
Yeah, I even before we started running out of time before what I was testing, but that was actually some of the tech that I was highly considering. The only reason I didn't end up going with it was because I was running the full 4 set of Hera. I see that you're running 2 Heras here, which care about mono red. Have you ever been in a situation where that 6 blue cards could interact negatively with that Hera?
To be honest, I only saw Hera in the tournament about 2 times.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that much of a worry for you, really.
No, because like if I have like cards that are like 2 ofs in a deck, I don't want to see them in my opening hand at all. I
Right.
barely want to see them. The cards that are like 3 ofs and 4 ofs, I want to see them more in my hand. But the 2 ofs, it's more of like you don't want to see them as much.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes total sense. And plus, you've got the four other Lancelots, which means that like realistically, you've got quote unquote 6 level 2 vanish effects, and that number has been pretty solid for me, 6 or 7. So what about the rays? I see that you've got 2 rays here. Now, which 2 rays did you use, and why did you go with them versus other rays?
So the 2 rays I went was with Blossom and what was the other ray? The Empty Blade and Lunar Blossom. So most of the tournament, I went first every time. In the tournament, I went second once, and every other time I went first. So being able to making my opponent discard 3 on the first 2 turns is so crucial, because at the time I'm getting rid of their servants, I'm getting rid of their key level 3s or level 2s very early.
Now, how often did you run into Xenocluster with that?
I think 2 people in the tournament. I believe my round 2 opponent and my round 6 opponent both Xenoclustered me at my Ray level 1 turn. It's just like, it's okay that you Xenocluster me, because now you won't have it for your Enter Charge, so I can use go to the top for that.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that was like very powerful and won you those games because of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in my games, I had I went up against Diagram, and I had one game before that where someone Xenoclustered right after the Ray, and then I destroyed them with Go to the Top. And then with the Diagram matchup, they very much did not do it. Like they held off on it, and in the back of my head I went, I really wish they pulled the trigger right then and there, because I'm gonna lose this game now, because they're gonna have the mana to pay, or their enter to pay for like a full Senga effect, and they absolutely did.
Oh yeah. Funny enough, like personally, Diagram is like one of my bad matchups.
Yeah, that's what I found too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Diagram's a tricky one. It's either a good matchup or a bad matchup. It's never really like a toss-up for a lot of decks, is what I found.
It's like more of like the Mizuki center matchup, but if it's Madoka, I'm pretty fine with the Madoka matchup in that sense.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Madoka has some more manageable Signy, and the Musica Center ends up having more of these like bigger Signy that are a little bit more sticky, so they're harder to get rid of. And that becomes like a kind of an issue.
Yeah.
So speaking of other matchups, what did you find you went up against most during the ceremony? Like, what did you think were like good matchups for your deck in terms of what was in your favor, as well as not so great, like more difficult matches?
So the mirror match is always like an easy matchup for me, but the one matchup I kept seeing was either No Limit or Card Jockey.
Yeah, that furthers my belief that like the higher end tables, I mean, you can look at the top 16 and it's infested with Card Jockey or No Limit. So it makes sense that the people who are playing the No Limit Card Jockeys just filtered up the ranks, and then everyone else is sort of hanging out in the bottom, where you get these two polarizing opinions, where some people who are going like, yeah, I went 4-3 and I ran into a single No Limit deck, whereas you see people who go like top 4 and they're like, I just played nothing but Card Jockey and No Limit the entire time.
So what was really funny is for my 5th round opponent, this was my first loss. And the person that I lost to ended up coming 3rd place overall in the tournament.
And what were they running? Was that the Card Jockey deck?
That was the Card Jockey deck.
Yeah, Tiffany's like, oh no, Card Jockey, my favorite team.
But sorry, I'm not trying to be like.
Only if that guy won the tournament, I would have been 2nd.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I ended up making with my breakers because someone placed in top 16. So it's like one of those situations where like, oh man, I'm mad that that person beat me, but at the same time they did really well. So is it really all that bad that I lost? Like,
I mean, fourth place out of, I don't know how many there were left over.
119 was the entire tournament.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad at all.
Very good.
Did you have any standout matches? Like, did you have a favorite match that you felt was you either played really well or like something funny happened that you'd like to share?
So round 2, I was versing against Uchu no Hajime Tamago Center.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for this dude. Because I had the 2 Hossies onto the field. I'm at 7 life cloth all the way until my second level 3 turn.
Oof. That's a far lead.
Yeah, not surprising though. Uchu, again, I say it over and over. The reason I didn't run Uchu, one was the time constraint, but also two was it was just really, really hard to get lanes open with Uchu.
Like, it was really funny because he hit me to at least 6 life cloth, I believe, 6 or 5. But once he hit me the second time, I was able to get Kakutasuchi out as a life cloth. I already had another Kakutasuchi in trash. Superior called it onto the field, used her effect to then get myself a Rose Quartz on the field to vanish one of their lanes. So I blocked 2 attacks with just the 1 life burst coming in.
I mean, and Kakutsuchi does that a lot. Like if it's not Rose Quartz, then it could be Lancelot, it could be Romel. Like and in fact, that's actually a great way to round it back to a question I had. So I was playing 4 Tobayels at one point, and then inevitably leaned more and more and more toward Katsukutsuki. Tiffany, help me with the pronounce.
I don't know why you're asking me. Kagutsuchi.
And it was because, in my opinion, you can tell me if I'm on the mark here or not. Kagutsuchi is this wonderful card that is as equal parts aggressive as is defensive. Its life burst is defensive as hell to help you in this matchup, but its ability, being that it can bring back a Rose Quartz, is aggressive as hell, so it can always open up lanes. It's like like Folklore Plus, in my opinion.
Because like when I was like getting into the game and trying to figure out deck lists, people wanted me to play Hanuel for the longest time, like, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, why are people running Hanuel? And it's just like, it's okay that you want to like look at the top 3, get more Signy into your hand, or being able to summon a Signy from trash the field or from your top of the decks of the field. But I think Kakutasuchi is a little bit better because I'm not wasting any Ener for her and any of her abilities. I'm able to keep that 1 Ener still alive. And it does the same thing that Hanuel does.
Yeah, I also found that running Hanuels in a no limit deck it's an interesting choice. I have a theory that also might come from a little bit of a like old school, if people have a background in Magic the Gathering, it might come from a little bit of an old school need to search for more burn or more creatures to put on the field, because sometimes if you had a like red-blue deck, you might splash for a different color to dig for those things. But in Wixoss, as I'm sure you found as well, it just does seem to make a little bit more sense to focus on your reds with a little bit of blues to support your aggro instead of trying to like you said, spend Ener and dig for more things.
Yeah, you can't see it on our end of the field, our end of the side here. But when you were saying about like you don't exactly know why people run Hanuel, I was shaking my head very vigorously in
nodding
agreement.
emphatically.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like it's a good card, but in No Limit, which wants to be highly aggressive, it just feels like it's a waste of time. And I get they're trying to find lane openers to do more lane opening, but it feels like you could just use a better card in that scenario that's more aggressive. And for example, what you have, Hasi, does the job that it wishes it could do. It's big, it attacks well, it's got a really good life burst, and it also costs 0 Ener to do any of the things that it's trying to do.
So true, so true.
I do think that card just lends itself better in Card Jockey just because of the function. Anyways, that's just our opinion. You guys are more than welcome to play whatever you want, whatever you feel good about playing.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I'm sure that there's been some no limit decks in that top 64, top 16 that played Haniel.
Yeah.
So let us know,
yeah.
guys, if you've played a Haniel in your no limit deck and it's really worked out well for you, tell us why in the comment section down below.
So we talked a little bit about matchups. We talked about Card Jockey, and you said you lost to a Card Jockey, but overall, do you feel like that was a 50-50 matchup, or was like in your favor, or was not in your favor?
So in that matchup, I could have won on my turn if I just used Go to the Top, just to search for a servant. I didn't think my opponent would be able to win the next turn because I was at 5 life cloth. I have 2 12k bodies and a 10k body on the field. And I did not think that he was able to just like take out my entire field as well as do 6 damage in one turn.
That's the punchline, right? The endless
Oh,
punchline.
yeah. If I just had that second servant, I would be able to guard that last punchline attack.
So I have a question about that. As a no limit player, do you find it very beneficial to try to hoard your guards throughout the game to stop endless punchline, or do you have a different strategy for coming up against something like that?
So I think what I'm thinking for against Card Jockey, you have to guard anytime you're able to guard. Because at the end of the game, you're just going to be hit no matter what with either 2 attacks or 3 attacks. So if you're able to minimize the damage early on, you'll be able
you think it benefits you in the back end?
In the back end. Because you'll be able, like if you have servants in your Life Burst or your Karatsuchi, you'll be able to get back your servants from trash back to hand.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play in any of your rounds against any you said you played against a Tamago player, but did you play against any Bang players?
No, that was my only Uchu matchup. So round 1 I versed one of the 2 Ancient Surprise players, and they were playing the red towel center. And that matchup I was like so confused. Because I had no idea what Towel does, and like, oh no, they're gonna do something really good, like, oh, you just draw 2 cards.
Yeah. The early starter decks are a bit strange compared to the changing divas that we've seen. Or sorry, which one? Whatever. When these other like decks came out, it felt like the original Sambaka deck and Ancient Surprise deck, everybody, when you were comparing them, you were like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was sort of a level up moment for Tiffany and I to just be like, in one of our podcasts, I think we even go over it, where a card evaluation where we say, hey, let's evaluate Towel and Hirana together and see which one's got a higher end power level.
Yeah, I think we did Quadrant Theory on that one.
Yeah. I think Towel maybe has a niche at some point in the future with the fact that it can filter cards very, very well, and which could make it a combo center in the future. But outside of that, like, it's not very good.
Yeah. So with that matchup, did you find it like difficult to work around, or did you find it a little bit easier because you were kind of going up against a red center versus a red center? How did that match feel to you?
In the back of my mind, I was just like, I do not know what any of like Ancient Surprise LRG assist or their main boss actually did. So in my mind, I felt like, all right, it might be like Senka assists, the green assist that like minimize damage. I'm going to just play it like I'm versing that and just hit face no matter what.
As No Limit do.
Cool. So what I'm hearing from you is that if you end up in a scenario where you're up against the unknown or have some kind of unknown factor, it's just you're just doubling down on your fundamentals. All right, this deck beats down. That's what I'm going to do.
Correct.
All right. So with that said, do you have any sort of like future predictions for the meta? Have you looked ahead at all at the Japanese meta and have been thinking about what your next steps might be?
Yeah, if there's any cards that you'd like to add before the next set comes out, maybe some cards that you'd like to add after the next set comes out.
So for stand-up diva, we're gonna be having our Ray Center coming out soon, and for that deck, it's just like I'm gonna have to heavily invest in blue.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've got a good thing started with the two. Is it Hasi?
Hasi,
Yeah, with
Hasi,
the two
yeah.
Hasi, I think that those will be good choices. I think maybe Ray might focus a little bit more on freezing.
No, it focuses more on card draw. It's
Card draw,
it's like it's gonna end up being like a tempo deck where you are somewhat aggro, but you're also kind of hindering what your opponents can do a little bit as well. And that's sort of how Ray plays.
Gotcha. Not to mention her level 3 grow as a center. That outfit is great.
Oh, it's so
gorgeous.
good.
It's pretty gorgeous.
But
were there any changes that you were planning on making to your Hirana center deck with any sort of cards that are going to be coming out in the future? Or do you think you're just going to be moving to a center Ray?
I think I'm gonna stay with Hirana and have just Ray as just like a backup deck just for fun.
Gotcha. And why are you choosing to stick with Hirana as your main deck?
So for Ray and like what the research does with the meta and how I see how Japanese players like with their matches and how things top Ray like for stand-up diva and a little bit in Vertex Diva sees play, but after a while it's still just gonna be Hirana, Card Jockey, and then we'll be seeing one of the most dangerous and oppressive decks in Vertex Diva, Deus Ex Machina.
Yep. That deck is going to be a menace. I think it's still a menace right now in the Japanese meta.
Yeah.
It's finally starting to falter in places because other ability or other L rigs are starting to finally come up and match them in power.
Yeah, with that power creep. I do think it's going to end up dominating our meta for a good long while, but we'll see. You know, sometimes the American meta or the North American meta versus the Japanese meta can be a little
Oh,
different.
absolutely.
Oh,
One of the
absolutely.
more interesting things in the American meta right now is in the Japanese meta right now where we're at. Japanese meta was very much No Limit, Madoka, and I think Musica. Those were the three decks that were really standing out, and were kind of a rock paper scissors in their meta. But what's super weird is that right now in our meta, it's sort of turned into this Hirana, Madoka, but Bang is
Bang's
coming out
coming
to
up hot.
be the third part of that rock paper scissors because Bang loses pretty well against No Limit, but also then just beats a lot of the other decks. Like, and loses against No Limit and Card Jockey. And that's another thing is that Card Jockey is also in that. Like, Card Jockey is less represented in the Japanese meta than more represented in the American meta at this time.
And so who knows? We'll see what happens. Do you have any like other favorite rigs that you just like because you like the characters, maybe not necessarily because they're good to play?
Oh, what was that one black L rig from the show?
Which one? From
Are we talking
Diva
about,
or are
like,
we talking
earlier?
from Selector?
No, from Selector. It's not Urif. It's the other one.
Oh man, I don't know.
Oh.
We'll have to look it up.
It's been a while since I've watched that one, but yeah, I do actually know who you're talking about though.
But that one, just for the art and just like I want to play this just because of the show.
Oh, I see.
We have some of those.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love to play the originals of Umar and Tawil before Ott came into the picture. Just because I do think the art for Oodles, where Umar and Tawil fuse, is absolutely exquisite. That is beautiful. and I really want to play it, honestly, just for that reason alone.
It is also cool to hear that you watch the anime, because it's like polarizing. Some people I will bring up anime stuff and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know anything about it, and I just play this card game because it's cute.
Yeah, or they'll be like, yeah, I've seen all 3 series. Or they'll be like, oh, I just watched the first one, I didn't know about the second one. So it's cool to be able to talk to somebody that knows what we're talking about.
Hey, so no changes to the deck list moving forward until we get into probably more of the newer cards.
I think with the not the next set, there might be changes, but the set afterwards, there's a card called Rimlight.
That is in the next set, yes.
I love that card.
That card, I think, could be a good role player. Could probably take the place of Folklores, because it basically does the same effect.
It's just like stopping 2 of your opponent's attacks. They just can't attack for that turn, and you draw out the card.
Right, and then the upside is also it's white, which means that you can then use Akino Bye Bye a little bit more often.
Because I think in that instance, I might just remove Sita from my deck and then just add 2 Rimlights.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, so you're going whole into that effect of just like, I'm attacking you, but you don't get to attack me.
Exactly.
So a little bit more like aggro wall, a wall with spikes, if you will.
Yeah, that feels more tempo based. Like you're hindering your opponent while pushing yourself forward.
It's a little Akino too, isn't it? We've kind of said that Akino as a white center tends to be a little bit more wally, but might have issues with their timing and their pacing of their deck. Sean, what's your opinion on an Akino center? Did you test that at all?
I did not, but a lot of people at my card shop love the Akino center and are just trying to figure out a way to make it work.
We all have our favorites, it's true.
Yeah, I kind of eye rolled on that. Like I know Akino can be viable, right? Like that's the thing, and I think I got to talk about that sometime on a podcast soon. The difference between viable and optimal, and like Hirana is an optimal deck. Akino is viable. You could get it working, and you can get it to get wins, but I don't know if it's as optimal as Hirana is.
So far, just one person at my card shop building a Kino. He has card jockey, but like, I want to build a Kino. It looks nice. And just like maxed out that deck. Got the DIR, all the high rarity stuff. Like, what? You just got into this game. What happened?
But here's the thing. We need people like him, because people like him open up boxes and then put more cards into the card economy for us to just buy the single.
We just mention more people that like buy into the game like that than show like the company on the bottom line, hey, this is a profitable game. We should keep making it,
Keep making it. Give us more trial decks. Give us all this new stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm super in on it.
Yeah, for sure.
I really do want them to bring like more of the figures for their Elrics and everything.
Like more merch.
More merch.
Yeah, I'll take it one lower than you. The figures would be cool. I just want sleeves. You can bring the sleeves over.
Oh yeah, please reprint the Oodle sleeves. I need it.
I need those sleeves.
Or you know what? I will settle. You know what? I'll settle for an MC Lion plushie. If I get that, I'll be happy.
Oh, what? You have a hat, so you need the MC Lion plushie now?
We have to match. Excuse you.
No, we can go beyond that. We can get a card jockey custom deck box.
Oh,
that's true.
I like that.
So let's start wrapping this up a little bit. I have one last question, which is about you said that you're pretty new to the game. Could you give any advice to any people who are looking to get into the game? What you think they should do, or how they should start off?
So what I would say to that is like, play what you want to play. It could be good. It could be fun decks, bad decks. Play what you want, but if you want to go more competitively in the game, research on how your deck works against like the competitive minefield of the meta, and figure out what you can do and changes you can make to combat your current meta. Because any deck could make it to the top if you have like the right pieces and the right cover. I think that's. I'm not really sure.
Coverage. You're saying like
coverage. Yeah.
Yeah. You're saying like if and I'm a big believer in this too, right? Like when I was going through college, I used to play a lot of Magic Gathering tournaments, and I used to get pretty good placements. And I would do it with crappy decks, and people would be like, "Is this deck that you made? It's super weird and original. Is it good?" And I'd be like, "No, it's terrible." and they'd be like, "Well, how come you got a good placement?" And I'd be like, "Oh, because I knew what I'd be playing against, and I used that to my advantage."
For sure.
Yeah.
So, also, Sean, I wanted to ask you, how does it feel to be in the top 5 leaderboard of the very first North American Wixoss Ceremony? That's going to be like, that's history making right there. How does that make you feel? You're going to have people like looking up to you.
I was on cloud 9 during that tournament. Every round we would have this little like voice chat in their Discord, and we had all the people like, "Oh, did you win? Yeah, we got this." Like, "Yeah, you got this, dude. Get the next one." Me and my friends, we were all like trying, like, "Did you win?" Like, "Yeah." Like, "All right, next round." And one of my friends, Corey, who also made the top 8, came 7th place overall. Nice. And it's like, "Did you win?" Like, "Yeah." It's just like, I just hope we don't verse each other in the top tables. Like, I hope so also.
Yeah.
We felt the same way. We also had like a little local crew that we were kind of like chatting on the side, being like, "How's everybody doing?" Like checking in between matches. And like we were secretly like, I really hope I don't go up against my friends.
Except 100% happened for me. My last round, it was like a lot was on the line to get into the top 64, right? We were both on the bubble, and I got paired up against him, and I was like, well, I mean, the pressure's off, but at the same time, I feel bad, like, because one of us isn't making it.
Yeah, someone's gonna go home with a win today for sure.
Because what was really weird is my third friend, Alfonso, also Alfonso Zeus on Twitch, he sadly made 3/4. He got 3 wins in a row, and then like every round, like, "All right, just need one more." Nope, lost. Like, "You got this." Like, good luck on your top 64, and just like kept going. But for some reason, they sent him this top 64 map.
Oh,
which was really weird. I don't know what's going on there.
It's the reason is he probably made top 64. There was a lot of people who dropped in this first tournament, and I feel bad saying this because part of me wants to be like, all right, don't tell anyone the secret tech. But if you drop, you actually raise everyone else's placement up. So, because you even if you had 3 wins and you couldn't get that 4th win, which happened to a lot of people, they dropped, and then what it did was it inevitably inflated people so they could get top 64 easier.
Yeah, but really,
to bring it back to what you were saying though, you said that the beginning you lost a lot, like you said, continuously 60 games in a row. And that's actually a pretty good point to make for I think a lot of people who try to be more competitive in card games. They lose it. They lose their want to be competitive because they end up losing and losing and losing and losing. But it takes a lot of those losses to be like, well, hold on, how come I lost, and how can I get better? And if you have that type of drives, I feel like that helps you get that competitive.
Oh, I agree, because like every time like I would use Rose Quartz and it's like I won't attack with her first, and it's just like, my friend's like, "Why don't you attack with Rose Quartz first to just get the ability?" And stuff in that nature. And it's just like, actually, you're right about this. Why am I not attacking in this type of pattern? Why am I not doing these type of things? So like every loss I got, it's just like, all right, what could I have done better? And if there was nothing I could have done better, like, all right, I did the best I could. There was nothing I couldn't change mentally in that match. It would have gone the same way no matter what.
Yeah, I definitely think that reflecting on your matches is a really good thing to do. I personally black out. Like I really don't remember. I really don't remember my matches. That's why I always have like a notebook with me to like take notes afterwards. But that really does help a lot. Especially when you're in like big ceremonies like this. And you just want to be like, okay, what can I do for next time? So, Sean, are you going to be competing in any more ceremonies, you think?
I think the next ceremony you will see me again.
Woo! Maybe we'll see you like maybe break through that top 3, you think?
Hopefully break through, maybe get that top spot.
I believe you can do it. I totally do.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Sean, I have one thing to say, which is super congratulations on your win.
Yay!
And thank you so much for talking to us. It was great. We learned a lot from you, and I hope our viewers learned a lot as well. And realistically, you know, that's the whole reason we started the podcast, was just to get people talking about Wixoss and understanding the game more at a deeper level. So I can't stress enough how nice it is to be able to speak on this level with you.
Thank you for having me.
So where can the people find you? Are you available on Discord, Twitch? Where can they interact with you if you feel so inclined to share?
So if people want to find my Discord, it's Mr. Pishman S, hashtag 8378. I'm also going to be doing Wixoss interaction and rulings videos very soon on youtube.com/Mr. Pishman S.
I will make sure we link it on the below. That's awesome news.
Yay! We love more content creators.
Well, that's great. That's about all I have to say. Tiffany, what do we usually do at the end?
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for listening in. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to hear any more Wixoss news, or maybe even future interviews like this, please comment, like, and subscribe down below. We're always happy to have a conversation with you. Sean, why don't you give us a good old-fashioned closeout? As always.
As always, may you always flip a life burst. And I'll see you guys next time.
Bye! Thank you.